Hello, I'm Vicky. I'm a member of South Street Church and I'm coming to you with a midweek word of encouragement. We are now 7 weeks into lockdown, a very long time really. And when it first hit, I was really surprised with myself because even though I think I'm well trained in stress and in, I suppose, worries and facing trials. Oh my gosh, it was like I look back on those first few days and I think of myself rather like Bambi on ice. I was absolutely floored, and I was really surprised actually that I was floored by it as well, but I was quite freaked out. And I remember it being probably about 3 days that I found I couldn't pray, and my mind was absolutely whirling. The issues that we were facing, not only nationally but internationally, seemed too great to be resolved. And I just had the most awful feelings then that actually it was way beyond God's control too. Thankfully, after that initial panic, you know, it settled down, and now, in fact, I can say that, and I'm probably similar to many of you, I've reached a new norm in that I found a way to work. I found a way to generate a bit of money. I found a way to manage the children in the home and to keep family life going. I now have resolved the conflict that I had with the disappointment of not being able to see various people. In fact, probably I'm fairly introverted all of a sudden, and a lot of these things are coming easier. You know, and I seem to have created another new norm that almost is impenetrable, like the way that I was living before. And yet I feel that this entire process is something that God is using in an incredible way to reform his people and to challenge us and to I suppose to work a new goodness, to have his work going in our lives. By way of illustration of that, I've been looking in Mark, at the time when Jesus was with his disciples in the boat and the storm cropped up. And I'll pick it up from Mark 4 verse 36. Leaving the crowd, they, the disciples, took him along with them in the boat, just as he was, and other boats were with him. And there arose a fierce gale of wind, and the waves were breaking over the boat, so much that the boat was already filling up. Jesus himself was in the stern, asleep on the cushion, and they woke him, and they said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And he got up and he rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Hush, be still." And the wind died down and it became perfectly calm. And he said to them, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" What I've picked up from this is that we're to put our faith in the person of Jesus and not in the realities that we can't control. The disciples just did not know what to do. They were in their realm. They were in their space, in their workplace. They knew what they were in, but therefore they recognized just what severe danger they were in. And so that is why this passage absolutely jumps out at us, because they were in absolute terror, and they knew they were in a dreadful spot, and they knew that they were things were way beyond their control. They could not do anything. And yet there was Jesus in the back of the boat, fast asleep, and they just couldn't understand this. And all they could do was just go and wake him up. "Don't you care?" and accuse him. "Don't you care? Don't you see what's going on?" And yet we have this amazing picture of Jesus, who wasn't asleep out of naivety because everything was passing him by, but he just acts as the most incredible model of someone who can take naps in a storm And I want to model myself on Christ. When I really can't do anything to alter my circumstances and my situation, I don't want to be fear-filled. I don't want to be panicking. I don't want to be suffering with huge doubts. I want to be able to take that time to rest and recuperate, just as Jesus did as well. It's a huge, huge, tall order, but I think it kind of suggests what we should be doing in this interim time, this time that we've never experienced before. We're not likely to experience anything like this ever again, but when the big pause button has been pressed on the entire earth and everything grinds to a halt, and we have to pick our way through those circumstances, it's undeniable within me that actually God is using this to bring us to attention, just to call on our attention. But in the majority of cases, we're not presented with a frantic, panicked environment, but a lot of us have had space created, and this space is utterly valuable. It's so valuable, and it's something that I think we have to use to the very best of our responsibility as well. Initially, I was feeling, oh, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do to help people? What, you know, and also recognizing that some people were panicking, and what can I do? What can I do to fix them? And yet both of these options were completely taken away because of lockdown, because we're not able to do anything. And I had to hand that over and recognize that God is the one who fixes, and God is the one who heals. And that actually my value and the value of this time wasn't to be tied up necessarily in being busy, but actually in resting before God and taking the time to nap, and to build up my reserves and to deepen my faith. I'm not suggesting that I've managed that in the slightest, but this is what I feel utterly challenged to do. So really the take home from this is that I feel that we need to learn how to live in a realm of peace so that this storm won't wreck us. And I'm just so grateful that we have a God who is so well resourced, whose heart is full of so much love, that he is able to guide us and accompany us through that. So rather than, I described feeling like Bambi, and then I described actually now hitting a place where I feel that we've hit a new norm. Actually, I want to find that middle ground again, that place where I think we're meant to be, where actually I'm alert and I am thinking about how I can train myself to be a person who is not wrecked by circumstances. And so I think that means that I need to carve out time to wait on God in a brand new way. I need to carve out time to worship God, even on my own, you know, even without the people around me in church. I also need to examine very carefully how I lead my children through that, and how we as a family will face that. In fact, that was something that God spoke to me straight away. When I was busy thinking, I must fix this person, I must fix that person, I must help fix these circumstances, I really felt God laying it upon me that I need my house in order, and that this was going to be a privileged time to be able to train my children and as a family grow in faith and take part in this venture as a family unit. I believe that it's a time of huge reevaluation. Silly things like, how often am I going to shop a week? Actually, am I going to re-examine how materialistic I am? Am I going to re-examine how much I use the car? But I suppose on less of a superficial level as well, re-evaluate how how I worship, how I spend time with God, what my biggest priorities are, and how in fact misplaced priorities have pulled me away from doing really what I am supposed to be doing. So those are my thoughts, possibly quite muddled as well, but let's I hope that some of that is helpful to you, and let's just pray now. Lord Jesus, I thank you that you are with us through every storm. I thank you that just your presence with us in that means that we are safe, that we can face it with courage and with strength, and we can lean upon you in every circumstance. Lord Jesus, I just don't want this time to be wasted. I don't want to come through it regretting that I didn't get things in order through it. I want to come out of this, Lord Jesus, stronger and more fixed upon you. I just pray, Lord Jesus, that we would encounter you, Lord, in these coming weeks. That we wouldn't just be chomping at the bit to get back, but that, Lord Jesus, in fact, it would be our absolute heart's desire to draw closer to you and to be led after this, Lord, in the direction that you want us to be in. Amen.